All right, everyone, welcome to
The Ginger and Soul podcast. This is episode 6, correct, David? Or we don't know at this point.
episode 6, something like that.
Episode 6. This has been a jam packed week of sports. We're going to react to the release of the top 75 list. If you have not listened to part 1, go check that out. It's up on our YouTube channel. We're very excited to have launched that. And I think we nailed it, dude. We'll get into it, but we almost got it 100% right. Even the honorable mentions and snubs. It's pretty much what everyone was talking about. So we'll get into that. And we are going to discuss the first week of NBA action. I watched way too much NBA this week, so I'm very excited to. We're going to hop on the Soul plane, the Ginger and Soul plane, and fly around the league and take a look and check in with what everyone was doing this week. But first, I am not a bandwagon fan, David, as you know. Once I pick my team, I stick with it. And so, therefore, I am a Dodger fan in victory and a Dodger fan in defeat.
I respect that.
Yes, sir. So, let's get into it. This series, so much happened that you could really spend an hour on this, but I'll try and break it down in about 3-4 minutes here. So, there's a lot of controversy, a lot of action, but I'll break it all down. So, let's start with game 1. Honestly, I was traveling, so I missed this game, but I saw Atlanta hit a walk-off home run. Respect it, they take game 1. Game 2, this is where the bullshit starts. Oh my goodness, David. We are up 4-2 at Atlanta. Scherzer pitched a nice game, and we'll bring him up later. If you remember, he closed out game 5 in San Francisco. So it's at 37, this might come back around later in my rant here. So we send out, in a very strange move, our starting pitcher for game 4, Julio Urias, comes out in relief as we're up 4-2 in the top of the 8th. And boy, was that a mistake. He gets pounded. It's 4-4. Braves go on to walk off again. Braves walk off the first 2 games of the series. So we go back to Chavez Ravine. Walker Buehler on the mound, and it does not look good at all. Dave Roberts makes another terrible move, puts an infielder in the outfielder as a bad drop. It's 5-2. I'm changing the channel. I don't want to see us go down 3-0. But baseball is very long. And the bottom of the 8th inning, David, I brought him up every time we've talked about the Dodgers. Runners on first and second. They've been shitting on him all year. Cody Bellinger steps to the plate once again and hits one out of the park to tie it and keep our season alive. And Mookie Betts had another RBI in the same inning. So the Dodgers come all the way back from 5-2, win 6-5. And so the season lives on. Game 4, though, did not go so well. Dodgers get smacked, and it was never close. I don't even know what the score was. It might have been 100-2, something like that. Game 5, I was in attendance. We drove 2 hours to watch this game, and I did not think we were going to win because we had a reliever starting. So I wore all black, dressed in all black to the funeral, and when we showed up, it certainly looked that way. We were already down 2-0 as we walked right into the stadium. But they don't call him CT3 for nothing, because Chris Taylor hit not 1 homer, not 2 homers, but 3 home runs to keep the season alive. And I forgot to mention, this was a rematch of the semifinals last year. Dodgers played the Braves. Braves were up 3-1, and in classic Atlanta sports fashion, as you know, David, they blew it.
Yeah,
And the
of
Dodgers
course.
advanced and won the World Series last year. But typical Atlanta sports blowing a big lead. So I figured, 3-1? Are they going to do the unthinkable? Are they going to blow a 3-1 lead to the same team in back-to-back years? With Max Scherzer on the mound in Game 6, Walker in Game 7, I felt pretty confident. But the night before, Max Scherzer is not ready to go. And you could see it in Game 2, as I mentioned. He only went 5 innings. He said his arm was dead. And that's what happens when you go all in on a 37-year-old. So that happened. And then Walker came in on short day's rest. And I don't know where the Braves found this guy, Eddie Rosario. He is the man. He is a great player. hate to admit it, and the Braves are the better team. And he hit a 3-run homer early in a 1-1 ball game, and the Braves go on to win the game, and their crowd was rocking. Not a lot of diversity in that crowd, but that's okay. And the Braves, congratulations, Atlanta, making it to the World Series to face those cheating Houston Astros. So I hope you guys beat them because I hate those guys. I really do. But I will not be watching, and this will be our last baseball take, probably ever, because I'm not going to lie, David, as much as I love my Dodgers, I was changing the channel quite often to the NBA because the NBA was so exciting this week. And these games are meaningless is the saddest part. Um, so I guess if I had to give one reason why we lost this series, it's definitely Dave Roberts. Every Dodger fan probably feels the same way. He did not manage this series very well, or whoever is technically pulling his strings in the front office and making these decisions. A lot of questionable moves. I broke down some of them, and you could see it. The Dodgers pitchers were very fatigued, so you can't win that way. But let's move on and talk about this NBA 75 list.
Oh, but
And
before that,
oh yes. Before
before
that,
that, and you know, I know that took a lot for you to to say, Jake. I know you're Jake's a big Ginger's a big Dodgers guy here, and it I know it hurts. So but
gotta talk about the wins and the losses. The Dodgers were not. It's honestly better that they didn't make the World Series because if we made the World Series, and the Astros would probably have smacked us because we really had no
yeah,
pitching
you would
left.
commit an act of terrorism. That's what you would do.
The
If that
Astros
happened.
beating us would have hurt a lot more, and the Dodgers would get really roasted for that. So, I'm very glad that didn't happen. So it worked out the way it should have. Thank goodness.
Yes. So a little sidebar here. Something interesting happened yesterday, and we can debate whether the right decision was made or not by a gentleman named Byron Kennedy, a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. Seems like he's from Florida, so, questionable, but hey, he's rooting for Tom Brady, and I can't be mad at anyone that roots for the GOAT. So, Tom Brady, in short, throws his 600th touchdown pass to Mike Evans, which breaks the record. Big deal, right? Mike Evans kind of not realizing what's going on because he catches so many balls from Tom Brady all day that this probably didn't even mean too much for him. But he hands it to a fan, Byron Kennedy, who grabs the ball, is super hyped about it. And then Mike Evans quickly realizes, oh shit, I just gave away Tom Brady's 600th touchdown ball. So the staff, one of the Tampa Bay Buccaneer staffers, whatever, probably some guy with a gun in his pocket ready to stick this dude up for this ball for Brady, goes up to Byron Kennedy and says, hey, dude, that's kind of Tom Brady's 600th touchdown ball, and we're kind of going to need that back. And Byron, being a true believer, a true fan of the GOAT, hands back the ball with no really questions asked. And that's kind of it for now. Then we go to find out, okay, what's Byron going to get from this trade, right? He did a pretty nice thing. What is he going to get? So at first, what he gets is a pair of season tickets that is going to go for the rest of this season and then next season, right? So him and a friend can go see as many games as they want for the rest of this year, like, I don't know, 4 games left or something, and then all of next year. 2 Tom Brady signed jerseys, and we'll go down the net worth, right? So the worth of all these things. So the pair of season tickets, 16K. 2 Tom Brady signed jerseys, 7K. He gets a Tom Brady signed helmet, 2,500. A Mike Evans signed jersey, 250. Mike Evans game worn cleats, estimating up to 10,000. Okay, so you're thinking around, okay, like 30 something K in value, right? So some guy on Twitter who I guess does auctions for things like this. He says, in my opinion, his name is Ken Golden of Golden Auctions. He says, I'm thinking, and also keep in mind, this guy has sold Tom Brady rookie cards for more than $1 million. He says, hey, buddy, I think that ball's worth $500,000. so, okay, so now it's like, okay, 30 something K, all right, of a deal here versus, the 500K. But then Brady comes out and says, hey, FTX, which is a cryptocurrency exchange that sponsors Brady, basically, or no, Brady sponsors them. He says, hey, let's get this guy a Bitcoin. Well, a Bitcoin is currently worth $63,000. So now, if he gets the Bitcoin, which I'm guessing he will, I mean, obviously that cryptocurrency exchange probably saw the opportunity and was like, hey, Brady, you need to make this tweet. We'll give this kid a Bitcoin. We don't give a fuck. The publicity we're going to get is going to be crazy. Now his package, the estimated total worth of everything he got is 99K. So the question is, should have Byron Kennedy immediately walked out of the stadium with that ball if he can get 500K? Or is it better to save the face, get the basically 100K value package, be kind of a hero for Brady, and yeah. So what do you think, Jake? What's your take? What do you think? What would you have done in that situation?
I'm a little familiar with this situation. I think I wouldn't have handed back the jersey as I was negotiating with the guy. I would have held on. But I think in life, you don't need to be an asshole. You don't need to be greedy. And it's still $100,000 and season tickets for the rest of this year and next year. That's a pretty sweet deal. So I wouldn't mind the package that he got for it is pretty good. It does suck that he didn't get to sell that ball, but I think that ball is clearly important to Tom, so kind of glad it ended up in his hands, and the guy got paid pretty well for it, so I think it ended up all right. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I also am a little suspect of the $500,000 valuation because that's only if you sell it, right? So how long does it take for you to sell it? Do you get the whole 500K? Like it's not as much guaranteed as two Tom Brady signed jerseys, which will probably go up in value. One Bitcoin
Yeah.
that can probably go up in value, right? Mike Evans jersey, which they're only saying is worth $250, but by the time Mike Evans retired, who knows what that could be worth, right? And it's almost like way cooler to have that thing. Now, if I'm his wife and I see that, and I'm like, yo, we got a mortgage, son. 500K is sounding really nice. I'm sure she might be reading the articles thinking a little something different. But I respect it. I mean, listen, you know me. I would do anything for Tom. You know what I mean? I would kill this guy for Tom and to get the ball back.
You would have thrown the ball at Tom.
So yeah, but that's basically the quick take on that. So yeah, let's move on to the NBA 75th anniversary list, which I didn't read any spoilers except for the Klay Thompson spoiler, which don't know if that was much of a spoiler. So I don't know how well we did. I know that Jake tells me we did well. So Jake, just take it away from here.
Yeah, so I'm going to read off our list one more time because there was some controversy in our part one of the episode, so I'm just going to read it off, and then we'll break it down from there. So, in no order, the list is Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Allen Iverson, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Dirk, Kevin Durant, Dwayne Wade, Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, Ray Allen, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis, Jason Kidd. We're at 15 for those counting. Carmelo Anthony, Dominique Wilkins, Reggie Miller, Paul Pierce, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Dennis Rodman, Damian Lillard, Steve Nash, and Gary Payton. So that's our next 25. Now, there was some controversy with this list at first because it was reported that they were going to make a new 75 to start from scratch. But what ended up happening is all the voters kept the top 50, which I loved. I think you can't, because we can go back, of course, and probably kick off 15-ish guys, maybe even 20 from the original 50. But I think it's important to keep guys like that on the list because it, honors their legacies. So, and I think we did a great job of previewing it. Because our list is pretty much identical to the 25 that got added in the real list. So kudos to us. We talked about some honorable mentions. We talked about Vince Carter. We talked about Tracy McGrady. And obviously the most debated one, of course, is Dwight Howard. He did not make the list, but we felt like he shouldn't either. And we are pretty biased, but it's all good. I think the voters got it right. I just think, who do you take off from those 25 names we mentioned? I just don't think Dwight had a better career than them. He may have had a better peak, but he couldn't really sustain it. Injuries are, tough. So, David, out of the 25 guys I named, which one do you think didn't make the list? It's only one. So, we got 24 out of 25 correct.
Who didn't make the list?
Yep.
Interesting question. My first thought is possibly we had Kyrie on there, did we?
Yes, we do.
We had Kyrie and Harden.
Yep.
I almost feel like one of them is not on the list. Am I right?
It's an interesting guess. All right. Let's go through it again. Kobe Bryant made the list. LeBron didn't make it. LeBron just barely eked it out. He made it. Allen Iverson, obviously. Tim Duncan, yes. Kevin Garnett, Dirk, Durant, Wade, yes. Steph, yes. All right, here we go. Top 10 down. Any of these guys could have easily not made it for different reasons. Russell Westbrook, he made it. Chris Paul, made it. Ray Allen, made it. Kawhi made it. Giannis, made it. Jason Kidd, made it. Carmelo, made it. Dominique Wilkins and Reggie Miller should have made the 50. Congrats, they made it. Paul Pierce, he made it. James Harden, did make it.
Did make it, okay.
Damian Lillard, made it.
Wow, okay, I forgot we had Dame on there too. Okay.
Steve Nash, he made it. Gary Payton also made it. Should have been on the 50. You were right. Kyrie Irving does not make the list.
Kyrie Irving didn't make it.
So let's talk about it, because I think this was a mistake. I really do. I think Dame is a better player, don't get me wrong, and I like Dame more, but I don't get why at this stage of their careers you can say Kyrie is worse than Dame in terms of legacy. Kyrie's already a champion. And he has one of the biggest shots in NBA history. No offense to Dame, but he hasn't reached that peak, and I just think at this stage of their careers, you can't put Kyrie ahead of Dame. I mean, sorry, other way around. You can't put Dame ahead of Kyrie because Kyrie's just had a better career to this point. So, you can't just project or, use your bias, which a lot of these writers are, to put, Dame over Kyrie. And I would put Kyrie even over a couple other guys that made it. But what are your thoughts on Kyrie not making the list?
Yeah, I wonder if is it a statistical thing?
I'll tell you who made it that we didn't put on after your take, by the way. And you guessed this originally.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I could see it. I think you do bring up a good point. I guess I definitely see Dame generally, like you said, as a better player overall. But it's hard not to put someone who probably has the greatest handles ever, right? And also, like you said, huge game-winning points. And if you just look at it talent-wise, Kyrie is pretty unstoppable. And like you said, he has a chip and he has a big win. I'd be curious if they're doing like a statistical thing, like does Kyrie not have enough points? um, or what, but that is a pretty interesting. Yeah, 7-time NBA All Star for Kyrie too. I'm trying to look here, Rookie of the Year.
Well,
Yeah, that is.
it's not like Dame was a scoring champion. I mean, even Harden. I think Kyrie should make it over Harden too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder. You think there might be a little politics going on
Yes.
here?
No, I actually think that's what it is. And
Yeah.
here's who made it over him. And you guessed this on part one. Go watch it. Very good. Very good content from Ginger and Soul. But Anthony Davis made it over Kyrie. That's the name
Okay.
that they put that we did not have. We
Wow.
thought about having him, though. We talked about it. We debated it.
We
But
did.
I don't get how he made it. I don't understand that. I mean, he's a great player. It's not like any of these guys are undeserving. But like,
Yeah.
I don't get why you put Anthony Davis over Kyrie. It's not like Anthony Davis. Well, I guess Anthony Davis does have a ring, and a pretty big shot too. So I like Anthony Davis more. So it is what it is. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I could see it. I think that with Anthony Davis, even kind of honestly, even kind of thinking about Dwight Howard, right? Compared to Anthony Davis, which is a weird comparison. But like I said, I want Anthony Davis to be my guess is Anthony Davis as defensive player of the year just because he's hasn't gotten it a couple times, but Dwight has three of them, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
So there's this weird narrative about Dwight. Um, they always like when he was like in his prime, he was the best center in the league.
mhm,
Okay, that's true. But who was his competition?
mm,
Andrew Bynum? I mean, come on now. Yao got hurt. There was no centers left. Dwight was the only decent one. I mean, if you put prime Dwight in today's league, right? Is he
yeah,
better than Embiid? Yes or no? I don't
hell
think
no,
so. No.
no,
Jokic? No. And then it comes. I mean, Cat. He's probably better than Cat, but Cat, once he figures it out, I think he's gonna be. One day he'll figure it out and become what I think he'll be. And I think he's just a little bit better than Gobert. I mean, there's some really good centers in the league right now. So
interesting.
I just
Do
think
you think
that narrative is a little much. Go ahead.
do you think that 25 players is too many in a
No.
way that you think it's a good number?
Well, it's just it's the list. That's part of the game because it's 75 years of the league. So
True.
so you just add an additional 25 to the original 50. I think they did it correct.
Yeah.
Um, and they added McAdoo. I feel like this weird thing where it's like they added two that we didn't have, but I guess um I don't know. I guess we have 25 because I've counted it
Hmm.
18 times. But Bob McAdoo was an MVP and he deserved him. It was like a weird snub thing as well. So that was the
Mm.
other name that made it that we technically didn't have. Um,
Dang, we did pretty well.
oh yeah, I think we nailed it. And the Inside the NBA guys were kind of discussing a couple of the snubs, and Charles thought Vince Carter was a big snub. We discussed him.
Mm.
Um, Tracy McGrady, it was definitely talked about um, pretty extensively, and we brushed on Dwight, but I think he didn't deserve to make it. And a lot of people were in Clay's corner. I'm not. I'm not sure about. I don't think Clay was a serious candidate. I'm not gonna lie. And Clay's one
Yeah,
of my favorite players.
it
So
is pretty interesting with Clay, right? Because he has that 60-point game. He has multiple clutch moments. He is an insane shooter. And I almost wonder if Clay isn't on Golden State with Steph, if Steph gets hurt instead of Clay, and Clay has like another couple of years or something in full health. Do we think about it differently? I guess the problem with Clay is kind of a little bit of a lack of versatility. Um, when you
I disagree. I think he's super versatile. I think he's a
really
franchise player on another team. I truly believe that. Um, I think he's a great player, but I don't. But just looking at his career and how it's panned out, I can't say that he's even top 75 over Vince Carter, McGrady, Gary Payton Nash. Some of the
Yeah,
guys
that
we
is
have on the
true.
list. Like
When you look at these, I mean, it's crazy to think, right, that Tracy McGrady doesn't make it. Like the list is that competitive.
he's just not better than those guys, and he never made out the second round. You know, you
Yeah.
kind of have to look at his career like that, but he's one of the most impactful players ever. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
hard to leave a guy like that off.
Yeah.
But so that's it for our 75 list. Hope you guys check out our first episode. We're going to get this channel off the ground. And now we're going to hop on the Soul plane, fly around the league, and talk about all the interesting teams, all the games I've watched, and all the games you've watched as well. Soul, give us a little soul here.
Soul
Ooh,
Train.
it's been a great week of basketball, and I'm loving it, man. There's so much I want to discuss. Let's start off with Philadelphia because they're first on my notes here. I have a lot of notes. Um, there's so much to talk about. So I watched the Sixers play the Nets. Um, Sixers aren't bad. They're not bad without Simmons at all. I don't think they need him. I think they need another scorer or another point guard. You know what I mean? Obviously, fill that void Simmons left. So here are my trades that I think would be good for them. And none of these are cities that Simmons wants to go to. I think D'Angelo Russell is option number one. I think that's the fit. De'Aaron Fox is a stretch. There's another point. Oh, the other point guard who I thought the Lakers should have gotten. I love this guy, Colin Sexton on the Cavs. That'd be a great fit for them because he's a great defender, and their defense would be insane with him. Because Thibault and Tyrese Maxey or whatever his name is, those two are really solid defenders, and obviously have Embiid in the paint. And Bradley Beal is, the one. That's the white elephant that they want. So, if you give up Simmons and they have some prospects, and I'm sure they have some picks lying around, I think you can get something good. So, back to the Sixers-Nets game real quick. Sixers were dominating, man. And we'll get to the Nets in a second, but something's not right there. But they're up 10 with 5 minutes to go. They throw an alley-oop to Matisse Thybulle. Game looked like it was over, but I think I texted you this. Only 1 point. The Sixers only scored 1 point in the final 5 minutes of the game, and they let the Nets back in it, and the Nets take the win. So I think, overall, I think the Sixers team will be fine without Ben Simmons. So I think they could be a sneaky contender. What do you think? Have you seen this team yet?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that they cannot exist with Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Embiid and Ben Simmons cannot be on that team because that team hates Ben Simmons.
I think the fans hate Ben Simmons is the other
and
issue.
The fans hate Ben Simmons. The coach hates Ben Simmons. The players hate Ben Simmons, and the fans hate Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons has a shit attitude. And, I could kind of see the argument, hey, you shouldn't make those type of comments about your teammate, but Embiid's just being honest, I feel like, in my opinion. And
I love what Embiid said.
And Ben Simmons should just take the criticism and move on from it. But yeah, so they can't exist with Ben Simmons.
And we're gonna do a whole Ben Simmons episode at some point.
Yeah.
But I'm sure everyone's sick and tired of talking about this guy, honestly.
Yeah.
So there'll be a moment where we can really go through all this.
What do you think about
Andre?
What do you think about Andre Drummond?
It's a nice piece for them. He didn't really play a lot in that game. Actually, you know what? He kind of did. I don't know. I think he's a good fit. You need a backup for Embiid. And we'll get to Utah in a second, but Utah made a similar move that I really like. So I think it's important to have a backup center. I really do. Yeah,
he had 10 boards too, so
he'll get rebounds.
He's a rebound monster. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Nets though, I don't know if we want to go to them quite yet.
No, let's go there. Talk about the Nets. I have a lot to say, so why don't you, if you want to roast them, go for it. Because there's a lot to talk about.
The thing that I'm most confused about is what is James Harden's role in the Nets going forward? Because I've watched James Harden play a couple times. I watched a couple games with the Nets, and I watched James Harden play. And for me, it feels like what he should be doing, or what would be beneficial to them, what you would imagine in your head with a Kevin Durant James Harden combination, maybe is not the reality, right? Because I think James Harden has had what, a couple 20-point games now,
I'm
but
gonna roast him for you, but he has not scored over 20 points yet.
he has not scored over 20 points yet. And I feel like you need James Harden to drop 35 points occasionally. I feel like you need James Harden to be scoring like James Harden would be scoring on Houston. Even if, like, for example, against Philly, Kevin Durant, 29, 12, 15, just doing fucking literally everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Harden, 28, 7. In a game like that where KD's putting up 29 and the game is close, so you're going to need Harden to step up those numbers.
Yeah, I totally agree.
LaMarcus Aldridge can't have more points than you.
Oh, good point. I didn't know that. I did not know
LaMarcus Aldridge dropped 23. And I'm not trying to diss LaMarcus Aldridge. He's a good guy. But if what the Brooklyn Nets are selling is this is not it.
Yeah. As I mentioned, that's why I want to start with Philly, because the Nets really should be 0-3. Let's just be honest. They were lucky to win that Philly game. Philly kind of collapsed at the end. And I think the biggest issue is they didn't address any of their needs in the offseason. They just thought, we're going to try this exact formula again, see what happens. And I'm not sure it's going to work. I know it's early. It's only 3 games. Kyrie can still come back, but I think they need him. But I like the Patty Mills move. He's nice for them. And I think Aldridge coming back is a nice move. But I hate this James Harden, man. Let me tell you something about this fucking guy. Okay. You can't score over 20 points. You know why, David? And listen, everyone loves to shit on the refs. Okay. And the NBA refs in particular are the worst refs in pro American sports. But not this year. And I love what I'm seeing. I think they should call it this way forever. It's so much better. The games are physical. They're more intense. They're fast-paced. They're not calling a lot of fouls. They're not spending an hour reviewing, oh, his pinky touched the guy's cheekbone, so therefore it's a technical foul. And, they get the ball back and all this shit. There's no more flopping. Oh, my God. It's so refreshing. And the combination of that with the fans being back, it's been great. So shout out to the refs. No, I've never thought I'd say that, especially about NBA refs. I think they need to keep it this way. And here's how you know James Harden's game is predicated on free throws. He has to adjust his entire game now to this. There's no other player, maybe Trae Young, that needs to do this. And you see it. He's only averaging 20 points. This guy averaged 36 in a season.
Yeah.
And you look at, and I think Harden, and I think you missed this comment, but Harden was talking about, oh, I'm the poster boy for this new rule change. It's
I saw that. Yeah.
What a crybaby. All right. Durant still drops 30 every night with ease. You see that? Why don't you look at him? Why don't you go practice with them? And you can learn. I'm sure he does practice with them. But, I'm just, he upsets me. He irks me. There's no excuse for you averaging only 20 points. Unless your game was all along built on hitting 20 free throws a night. Now, do I think that's really the case? No. And I think he'll figure it out. But I think that's their big issue. And they don't play any defense. So
the thing is, I don't know if he will figure it out, though, because I don't know. I don't know if Harden...
But then he's not a top 75 player, so take him off your list.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't know if Harden because watching the team play, right, it doesn't look like to me that Harden's role is that guy. Does it? Right? Are you getting that energy with Harden where you feel like, oh, this guy can take
Nets
over?
Look a little sluggish is all. I wrote this down. It's just like they didn't come out with the energy, So I think they'll get their rhythm. And I think they'll run more plays for Harden, but it goes through Durant right now. You're absolutely right. But I think we're only 3 games in, and some of these will be overreactions, but it is what it is. We can only go off what we're seeing. Let's make a quick stop in Milwaukee. A little detour. They haven't really played anybody. They beat the Nets on opening night. And, ever since then, they went out partying in Miami. So they were a
Yeah.
little hungover for that game. And they played Indiana. So nothing too crazy. Oh, I think they played like San Antonio, someone else. But they haven't really played anybody yet. Their only concern right now is injuries. Drew Holiday got hurt
Hmm.
already. Brooke Lopez hasn't played since that game. So I think they just need to get healthy again. But I think the big thing, and I've talked about this a lot with Giannis, his jumper looks so much better, dude. And I told you this would happen. Didn't I? I told everybody.
You
I
did
told the whole
say
world, and no one's listening.
it.
His motion is like way better. He's hitting pull up threes with ease. So I'm. It's too early to really talk about them, in my opinion. But I think
Mhm.
we got this is something to monitor. I think they're probably going to be. I think they're going to be top two in the East easily. So
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. Giannis is looking better. Obviously, he's hitting more free throws. Drew Holiday is kind of missing out is kind of a problem. And yeah, like you said, they definitely partied in Miami. But again, like I always say, when Giannis only scores 15 points, you kind of need a guy to drop 30, and Chris Middleton gave him a solid 10. So, Chris Middleton Chris Middleton will do that some days and then turn around and drop like 37.
I think
But
he had
that
37 tonight. Funny you say that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it is. And but what's interesting is, was the kid wrong about the Miami Heat? I was kind of pretty
You?
low on them. Yeah.
I haven't even seen them play. So why don't you go ahead and break it down for us?
Well, they're 3-1. And
Mm-hmm.
they're looking pretty good. Jimmy Butler just dropped 36
Oof.
tonight against
Oof.
Orlando, which I mean it's Orlando, but
They're terrible.
Tyler Hero also had a 30-point game, I think, like a couple of nights ago. Um, yeah, so Hero's kind of going off right now, and I don't know. This could just be one of my big flop predictions because I wasn't putting the Heat in the playoffs. So
Yeah,
um,
they're a playoff team, but they might not be
yeah,
as. I think they're gonna be somewhere in the middle of our predictions because I have pretty high hopes for them. Um, you watched the Celtics Knicks game, correct?
yes, I did. Yeah,
What a banger of a game! This is going on during
yeah,
the Dodger game, and I just like, who cares, Dodgers? I know you're in the. I
yeah.
know you're a couple games away from the World Series here, but it's opening night. It's game two of an 80 game season.
I don't know why I'm such a Jaylen Brown hater. Like, why am I such a Jaylen Brown
Because he's on the
hater?
Celtics.
Because he's on the Celtics.
Because he's
Yeah,
on the Celtics. He's out. He's
yeah,
been outstanding, huh? And he had a huge game tonight. And I'll talk about. They played the Hornets, and I watched that closely, so we'll get into that too. But um, man, they look good. Tatum had an off night, obviously, but this was a great game. And speaking on the Knicks, because their big game is tomorrow. They play Philadelphia, and that's gonna be a really important game for them. I think they play Chicago too, who looks great. Knicks are really good defensively. I like what I saw. I love Rose on the team. I love the Garden is rocking. So I'm excited for the Knicks. They got a big game tomorrow, so we'll talk about them more then. But what you think of this game? I'm sure you have a lot to say.
yeah. This game was a banger. Julius Randle's the fucking truth, man.
Yes,
If you
so
didn't
good.
believe it, if you didn't believe it before, believe it now. He's the fucking truth. Fournier is the truth.
Mm,
RJ Barrett, I think, is kind of coming into form a little bit. I was kind of a RJ Barrett hater when he came into the league, but it takes time for people to develop, man. Like, this is
yes.
what people need to start learning about the NBA. Like, the whole rookie guy comes in and it's he's MVP. It's just not a thing anymore. I don't know if it ever was really, but even now more than ever, the league is competitive, and it just takes time for players to develop and get into form. Jason Tatum is 23 years old, I think. He is. He's 23 years old.
Yeah, and you're right, dude. The league is younger than ever, so it's hard to expect a guy who's 19 to come in and compete with the best in the world, unless he's played professional for four
It's
years like
incredibly difficult.
Luca. Yeah,
And
so
and what people don't I don't think what people realize is what we're watching now is when we watch the Celtics and Knicks, I think what we're watching is um, the future of the NBA, right? I mean, Tatum,
whoa, big
Ta-
prediction.
yeah, well, just as maybe not as far as that these teams will look the same way that they look. It's just that the players are on the come up. And like I said, dude, Jason Tatum's 23 years old. Steph is playing like out of his fucking mind, and he's like 30, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's
Jason
been
Tatum,
incredible.
even in 7 years, right, could still be in his prime. Isn't even in his prime yet. So it's pretty cool to see that these guys coming up, and how old is Jaylen Brown? How old is this motherfucker?
He's a little older than Tatum because I remember he went really high in the draft.
Jaylen Brown's 25, so
Yeah.
old man. No, but he.
No, so it's good that you brought this up about Tatum because I've been watching the Hornets, man. Oof.
Yeah,
They're good. I like
yeah,
them.
yeah.
But there's a couple of things I gotta criticize. But let's start with this. They played the Celtics today in overtime. The Hornets completely blew it. But Jason Tatum had a bounce back game. Let's just say that 41, 7, and 8. How about that? 50% shooting, not too shabby. The Hornets were winning the whole way, and LaMelo kind of fell apart. He's taking way too many threes. When they're at their best, this Hornets team is when he's driving, aggressive, passing, great passer. He ended with 25 and 9, so he took 19 shots. How many threes do you think he took today, David?
He took 19 shots. You said he took too many threes.
Yep.
He took 10 threes.
Took 14 threes.
Oh my God.
He only took 5 shots from 2.
Wow.
So that's not going to work in the league. And for some reason, what's funny? So they beat the Nets, right? But they beat them pretty bad. But it was a good game, and it could have gone either. It really could have gone either way. I know the score looked bad, and it's easy to shun the Nets, but you have to remember we're in the very early parts of a season here. But it's a good win for Charlotte. They went in there and they won, and LaMelo didn't even play the whole fourth. That's crazy, I think, to the listener, because I told you this already. But but I think the Hornets are gonna be really sneaky. I think LaMelo's ceiling is really high. So, and I like Gordon Hayward on the team. Have you watched this team at all?
I didn't watch that. I didn't get to catch this game. But I'm looking at the stats. I saw that our boy Denny Schroeder dropped 23. You think that Denny will get more than what, $6 million next year? You think he's a potential re-signing for a little more cash?
The way they use him, he'll get more money, but I still don't think he's that great of a player.
Yeah.
So that's just my thoughts.
What's interesting about the Celtics is how many people can we think of that have gone through the Celtics in the recent years? Isn't it kind of wild?
They don't draft very well. It's a very not well kept secret. Like they nailed Tatum, they nailed Brown, but after that it's been a lot of nothing. And they have all these picks, and they don't really draft anybody. So and I think Marcus Smart kind of limits them, even though he's looked good. This is the best he's looked to me. So and I like that they're giving Robert Williams some run.
What's interesting is that we're talking about a lot of East Coast teams right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly go through like one or two more East Coast teams, and we'll move to the West. Yeah. So I watched Chicago and Cleveland more than I should have.
Okay, interesting.
But Chicago's gonna be sneaky. They're really athletic. Lonzo's shot looks better. His hair looks pristine. You should look it up. Got the fro going. His form doesn't look like what it looked like on the Lakers, which was horrendous. And I really like my Rookie of the Year pick, David. Evan Mobley is the truth. Ooh. And if you want to talk about your Rookie of the Year pick later, we can. I was thinking, on the Soul Plane, we can always stop by and talk about a couple rookies. I've seen a few more that I liked in college and I kind of forgot got drafted. So, Any other thoughts on the East before we move to the West, before we fly across the country to the West here?
No, I think that's about it. I didn't catch. I'm trying to think. I don't really have much info on Atlanta. Do you have any Atlanta takes?
I haven't really seen them. I was going to watch them play Dallas, but I was at the baseball game and they killed Dallas anyway. But I haven't seen Atlanta play yet, but I'm looking forward to watching them for sure.
Let's move over to the Western Hemisphere.
So I have a lot to say about this team. As you know, I'm very excited about the Memphis Grizzlies. Oh, I'm excited. Ja Morant, bro. If you guys aren't watching this kid, this is like a dark horse MVP candidate kind of player. I'm
Mhm.
going on record and saying it. So I have a lot written down here, so I'll try and break it down. I watched them play the Lakers and the Clippers. Um, the game against the Clippers was a great game. Paul George came to play. He had
Mhm.
41. Ja had, I think, 28. And the Grizzlies went up 19, but then it quickly went back down in the same quarter. There are two pickups in this game I liked for both teams. I really liked the Eric Bledsoe move. I think you have him on your team there, David.
Yep. Yep.
But I
Yep.
like the way they use him. He was all over Jaw in the
Mhm.
fourth. It was crazy, dude. They were throwing all kinds of stuff at Jaw. They were just trapping him before he even went to the 3-point line because he was cooking them. And what's great about Jaw is his jump shot looks better, and he's a much better passer this year. And a great move they made was they got Steven Adams. I think that's going to be great for the development of Jaren Jackson, and he's just a nice player for them. A player they need. I think they could use another scoring guard. Maybe Dylan Brooks is that guy. So they played the Lakers last night. Did you see this game?
No, I totally missed this game.
All right,
I
so I'll break it
was
down real
yeah.
quick.
Break it down to
Ja played even better in this game. He had 40 points and 10
yeah.
assists.
I saw some of those highlights though. Yeah, he's a dude. He's an absolute
But
fucking monster.
Ja did choke in this game. He did. There was
Mm.
no reason that this game shouldn't have at least gone to overtime. Ja missed Steven Adams wide open. He threw it out of bounds. And then he got fouled at the end on a three, which was, inexcusable. I think it was Bazemore or some scrub fouled him
Mm.
on a three. And Ja goes to the line. He hits the first two and misses the second, misses the third to tie it. So
Jesus.
he did choke in the end, but he's the truth. And big game that we're going to discuss. He actually has two big games coming up. He's got Dame tomorrow, and then he's going to play Steph. So there's going to be a lot more to talk about with Ja. He looks really good. So
Mhm.
that's my piece.
Yeah. I've been watching his highlights and he's going off. He made a amazing. I can't believe you got him that late in fantasy. That's such a steal.
Yeah. Looks like
It's
you
like
got a little hoodwinked there on Russell Westbrook.
I knew I was taking a risk. I knew I was taking a risk with Westbrook.
Yeah.
But there's still opportunities though because he did get 13 assists and 7 boards, so that helps in fantasy to be able to get those other. You could get big numbers on assists and rebounds. So I do have a question for you. I know that you are super excited about this because I know he's your favorite player in the NBA. So I know for a fact that when he dropped 28 points last night, that you were hard as a rock, right? Watching Carmelo Anthony drop 28, your boy.
I was happy for Carmelo because he passed Moses Malone on the scoring list. So I was happy for him. I thought he jacked up a lot of shots, but that's okay. That's
Yeah.
Carmelo. That's Carmelo for you. Do you want to talk about the Lakers? There's a lot. Might as well just get into it.
Yeah, I might as well get into it. And like I said, in my prediction for the year,
You nailed this. You're right.
yeah, we're gonna start off slow because we're gonna need time to figure it out, right? Right now, it's very strange seeing LeBron and Westbrook on the same court, and you're wondering, okay, should Westbrook cut in? Should he be working the perimeter? Should LeBron be handling the ball up top? It's just like there's a lot of weird dynamics in play, but all those things are going to get sorted out. And it's like I said, we're going to take a few losses in the beginning. But once they all are sorted out, we're going to be a problem because, dude, we have people that can hold their own,
Yeah,
we
definitely.
we're able to beat Memphis with LeBron dropping 19. I mean, shit.
He
When
played
did
well.
LeBron?
That's a surprise. I didn't know he only had 19. He
Yeah,
played well. He hit a lot of threes.
when did LeBron ever be able to chill like that? So I'm pretty excited about the team. Yeah, seeing
Um,
Carmelo have some
okay.
life is good, and yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
Um, I actually don't have a ton to say on this. I only saw them play Memphis, but I was extremely disappointed in the antics I saw against Phoenix with Dwight
Mm,
and Rondo with the finger gun thing. I don't know what was said to Rondo, so I'll kind of give him a pass. But the Dwight thing,
I have
I
a
wouldn't mind
actually
releasing
very
either of them,
interesting.
honestly.
I
But
have a
go ahead.
very
Sorry.
interesting story about that. So before the game or during the game, the first half of it, I was watching a poker live stream. For the fans out there, I'm a big poker fan. I actually watch poker. I know it sounds sick and sadistic, but I am a bit of a masochist, so there you go. So I'm watching the poker live stream, and one of the guys on there, poker player, I think his name's like Dylan or something, goes to the Laker game, right? And then I see the highlights with Rondo and the finger gun thing, and I'm like, this is the dude I was just watching play poker on this obscure ass scene on stream that nobody would really be watching. The same dude left to go to the Lakers game and got kicked out. And then I watched him again the next day and him talking about the story. And he's basically just like, yeah, like, doesn't really want to talk about it. He's like, yeah, nothing happened. Like, it's not a big deal, whatever. Like, something about Rondo having a lawyer. There's something about them taking away, suspending him from like all NBA games or something like that.
That means he said something. The fan said something clearly.
100%. He 100% said something. I mean, Rondo just didn't put finger guns at him for no reason. I mean, that's strange, right? Why would he do that?
It just looks strange. I'm like, what is he doing to the fan? And of course, Doris Burke freaked out. Like, oh my god, the fan slapped the hand out his face. Like, but I think any person would react that way. Like, get your fucking hand out my face. Like, the fuck. I did catch some Jazz games, which is a little shameful to admit. I watched them play the fucking Kings. Okay, Kings are not bad. Kings are not bad at all. Talking about rookies, Davion Mitchell is nice, and he was giving Donovan lots of problems. He's good defensively, but I think until they still have so many issues. I don't believe in Luke Walton as a coach, and I think they're still too small. They're trying this experiment where they have this guy Richaun Holmes, who's a lot of analytics guys will probably like him, so I won't shit on him too hard, I guess, but he's too small, in my opinion, especially in the West. We've mentioned this before, but you got to be big. And that's why I like what Utah did in the offseason. I was going to come back to this for sure. They added Hassan Whiteside, and I think that was such a great move because now you have somebody to go to when Gobert gets in foul trouble. So I think he's going to give them nice defense. So they look good. They look hungry, the Jazz, I still think they take way too many threes, but, that's kind of the way they built their team. And I love me some Donovan Mitchell. So, yeah.
Sad. I don't have too many Utah takes. I haven't really been watching them.
Well, okay, any other Western Conference teams you want to talk about? Because that's all I have.
Well, I do have a question.
Sure.
The Denver Nuggets and Jamal Murray, missing him. How much of a problem is it, you think, actually?
Not that big of a problem.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty interesting, right?
But they're a championship contender with Jamal, and they're not a championship contender without him because they need more scoring, especially if Michael Porter doesn't play well.
Michael Porter, that's your guy, right? How are you feeling? Are you feeling the prediction still? You're still strong about it?
I'm not. And it's not because he's out the gate slow, but I just think it's just weird because is Ja going to win that award? Because, like, he played well last year, but like he's kind of on a different level this year. And if Jaylen Brown keeps this up, then he probably is going to be in the discussion. I just think those guys are going to be a little up there. Michael Porter is going to figure it out, but he's a little slow right now. But he'll get there. So big games coming up this week. I'm excited for, and we'll maybe we'll both watch these together or something, or we'll bring them up. We got tomorrow, Utah plays the Nuggets. I think that's a big game. And I think Philly Knicks is another big one. Excuse me. The Bulls play somebody. And it's bothering me that I forget, so let me look it up. Hold on. The Bulls play so the Knicks have two big games. Actually, the Bulls have a lot of big games coming up. So the Knicks play the Sixers, and then they go to Chicago to play the Bulls. And I think that's going to be two big tests for all those teams. The Bulls are looking good. I think they're young, athletic, and then the Bulls play the Utah Jazz this coming weekend. So another big game.
Interesting.
And then I think another big game I'm excited to see is Memphis play Portland. Seeing that Dame Ja matchup's gonna be great. And it's nice because our Lakers, the schedule gets a lot easier. I saw a lot of Spurs. I saw a lot of Thunder. Saw a lot of Rockets. So that's a great time to maybe get some rest even.
Yeah.
and kind of just figure out whatever we need to figure out. So, but I think what we kind of proved with our little soul plane flyover here is there's a lot of good teams, man. There's a lot of good
Yeah.
teams, and I know it's early. Everybody looks good. People don't realize they're bad yet, but I'm excited. And we didn't even touch on Dallas, and because they have played like shit, so hopefully they get it together. I think there's gonna be a lot of teams that are gonna come and go, so I'm excited for the year.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Did you
Yeah.
get to watch the Golden State Clippers game? Did you catch
Oh
that?
yes, I forgot to talk about them because I skipped over them to talk about the Lakers. I caught it at the end. It was right after the Dodger game.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh
we
yeah,
came back from
obviously
game
we were
five.
we were talking about it.
Um, yeah, so let's get into it. Steph is so bad, man. Like Aaron
Dude.
Rodgers,
Oh my
bad
god.
man.
Well,
Oh my
relax
God,
there.
the
I don't know
shots he
about
was
that.
hitting were insane. He had 40, 45, I believe. Oof, my goodness.
He's incredible.
I think this team is too small though, without Wiseman. Um,
Way too
I,
small.
and I think their defense is a lot worse than I thought. I like Iggy being back. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to see Clay come back from something that's pretty much impossible, dude. It's hard enough to come back from a torn ACL, and it's hard enough to come back from a torn Achilles. So Clay's going to attempt to do both. Excited to watch him
Yeah.
do it. So
Yeah.
I think they look good. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Steph, people, and when we'll discuss this, me and Jake have some debates to do. I guess we can save that for next episode.
Are we
Because
going to disagree on something?
I'm not
Is
prepared
that
to debate.
possible?
I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared to debate Jake on my top five yet. We have to
Oh, you
save that.
forgot. Oh, we meant to do that. Okay, we do
Yeah,
it. We do have to do this. We do have to do that.
yeah. I don't know. I don't have my top five though, so I'm not ready.
Okay, prepare for next time because I did
Yeah,
prepare.
we'll prepare.
There was just so much NBA. I forgot that. I forgot to challenge you
Yeah,
on that.
yeah. But Steph is a serious, serious, serious player, man. Like, and what's crazy is just watching him do it over and over again. In that, I think that's what people love. Obviously, we've talked about this. People love the 3 point. People love the shooters, but the way he does it, man, is just so incredible, and it's so great that we get to watch it and see it. Um, and Paul George, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big Paul George hater. Don't like the guy at all as a person. But he does. He's gonna be putting up a lot of points on this Clippers team. And Bledsoe's a great addition. Like I said, like Jake mentioned, I drafted him, and that was good. And Clay, if Clay comes back from this, then there's not anything anyone can not come back from, because unless they lose a limb, Clay, because it's modern medicine must be getting wild. I predicted the KD comeback, right? I said from the beginning, I was like, yo, KD's gonna come back, he's gonna be fine. And people are like, what do you think? I'm like, dude, you don't understand, bro. We're in the year 2020, and KD has unlimited money, dude. He can go to Germany, right, Kobe did. He could go to Germany. He could go wherever he wants, and he could get some crazy ass shit, dude. So the level of modern medicine these guys get nowadays is pretty crazy. The question is I think Clay can come back hot. The question is how can he sustain it, right? And that's going to be one of the questions for KD, right? Is that we see him hot now, but are there lingering effects from the injury that eventually means that basically his timing, sort of like the half life, right, of something, does that half life just keep on getting worse and worse and worse, as you get these injuries? So we'll find out. Who knows? But yeah,
Yeah.
just talking about this, dude, it's so exciting. This year is gonna be fucking crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I think we should just keep for the NBA. We could just keep talking about what's going on each week in the league, who we like, who's kind of fallen off. I think it's gonna be a constant circle. If you guys watch All the Smoke, they do What's Burning every week, so this will kind of be our version of What's Burning. Take a trip with us
Yeah.
on the Soul Plane, baby. Greatest movie of all time. Should have won every Oscar ever.
So plain. Yeah, rest in peace,
um,
Snoop's mom, man. Rest in peace, Snoop's mom. Yeah, and obviously him and Too Short and what's his name, Ice Cube. They're dropping an album, so we might have
Mount
to.
Westmore, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to review that when that comes out.
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be better than this fucking Coldplay album I listened to, dude. That shit was atrocious.
oh, I heard that
Oh
was a
my
flop.
god. Don't listen to it, people. Alright? Do you think those... And you know what's sad is that they released 2 great singles, so I'm like, oh, Coldplay gonna get a little bounce back? Nope. Don't bother,
What's the
guys.
last
Don't even
Coldplay? Is the
bother.
last Coldplay banger the When I Rule the World or whatever that
Yeah, that
is?
was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
They have a cool song with
Dude, when that came out, I was
Korean
wearing
band.
plaid shorts, bro. You know what I mean? Remember when plaid shorts were a thing?
It's certainly an era.
Plaid shorts and socks to your ankles, dude. Oh, God.
Yes. So there's one last piece of business we need to discuss on this podcast. For those that don't know, Ginger and Soul are in a fantasy league. Not just a fantasy basketball league like we've talked about. A fantasy football league. We went head to head this week, and Team Ginger comes out on top. It came down to Monday night, as these always do, and I had Alvin Kamara, and he did not. So Alvin Kamara by himself won. I made some Dave Roberts moves. DeAndre Swift was on the bench. Hollywood Brown was on the bench. But it didn't matter, you know? When you have Alvin Kamara and Mike Evans, you know, that's all you need. So, GG's, Soul.
Yeah, it was a big loss. It was a big loss for the kid.
Yeah, I mean,
if I ever see Marcus Callaway, I'm going to insult his family because I hate him.
It's not really fair because our league is that whoever's in that league doesn't really know how to draft. So I kind of just have an all-star team, and David or Soul wasn't in attendance for the draft. He auto-drafted, so
yeah, and I'm really still not doing bad either. You know,
not
like if I had another piece, it could have gone well. And I obviously have Brady and I have Jonathan Taylor, so that's those are a couple of my monster players, and I have Kelsey too, which somehow he ended up making points, even though Mahomes decided to fucking play like his fucking girlfriend for the first half, or for his fucking TikTok little brother, dude. He's doing too many fucking TikToks in front of his fucking mirror with his fucking little brother.
Did you see the controversy, by the way?
Oh, when about the little brother stepping on the thing?
Yeah, he did on the Sean Taylor number. But okay, so here's how I feel on it, real quick. He doesn't know football, dude. Like, all these people coming for him, like, he knows who Sean Taylor even is. Like, come on. Like, he doesn't know. He could have been doing that dance anywhere. Like, he doesn't know. He doesn't know football. Like,
dude, he doesn't know where he is right now, dude. All he does is look at his phone, bro.
he could name more than 4 players on the Chiefs. I'm sorry,
bro,
or even in the league,
dude. Like, he couldn't.
He couldn't.
Dude. No.
He doesn't know who Sean Taylor is. Like, give the guy a break. That's like, asking your wife, being shocked your wife or girlfriend doesn't know who Sean Taylor is. Give me a break, dude. And so, all right, for next week's episode, here's some stuff we'll talk about. Talk more NBA. Yeah. And our real life teams are going to go head to head. The Chargers are playing the Patriots in a revenge game.
Ooh.
After they curb stomped us last year. I have a feeling it might go a little differently this time.
We'll see.
So we'll make sure to break that down. That'll be the focus of next week's episode. And then eventually we're going to break down Curb Your Enthusiasm and Succession.
Yeah.
And
we'll also do our
TV
top
episode.
5.
Oh, and Squid Games. Sorry.
Yeah, Squid Games. We'll do our top 5 too. Should we do top 5 next week?
I'm on the finale right now.
Okay.
But the finale was bullshit so far.
Yeah.
I'll save it for another time, but I was upset. I texted you at very late at night.
should we do? I got that text. Yeah. So, should we do top 5 next week or no?
And we'll get into our top 5 next week. Absolutely.
Top 5.
That discussion needs to happen. I've lost it. Oh, and quickly on the rookie corner. Do a little rookie corner here. Evan Mobley looks like a beast. Made sure to pick him up in fantasy if you haven't already. Because I did. And I'm happy camper. I just didn't think they'd play him this much. They're like, no, he's starting. So they clearly made the right move. You could see why. Chris Duarte, I watched this kid at Oregon. He reminded me a lot of Klay Thompson. I loved him at Oregon. I forgot he made the NBA. Pacers found a scorer, and I think he's going to be a great piece for them. Maybe they'll use him as sixth man when Karis LeVert gets back, but that was a smart pickup by the Pacers. And last but not least, I mentioned him already, but off night Davion Mitchell, I watched him at Baylor. Woo! I love him.
Yeah.
I love him already. We need more defense in the league. And even though it's a weird fit on the Kings, he's going to be a special player wherever he ends up because Kings are probably going to have a fire sale at some point. They have too many guards.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Jalen Green dropped 30 last night.
Yeah, talk about it. I'm sure you've been watching all the Rocket games, bro.
Yeah. So he dropped 30 last night.
Anything under than 20 yet?
Yeah. And he dropped both, but the thing is, the caveat though is he hit 8 threes.
So my God, really?
24 of those points were from the three. He's looking really good, man. He's looking talented. He looks like he has some good driving ability too. He's obviously a little inconsistent with the points right now, but that's because, listen, man, it's the Houston Rockets, dude. They're problem. Are they the worst team in the NBA? Do we know yet? Probably a little too early to make that call, but.
They're up there. There's 3 clearly. They're one of them. The Thunder are going to be one of them, and the Magic are absolutely one of them.
Which, interestingly enough, that is 2 from the Western Conference.
Yeah, but again, the bottom of the West is actually pretty bad, but it's not really fair. Like, even if you look at the Kings, you're already you're probably 11 deep because Clippers are ahead of them, a couple other teams. Yeah. Pelicans just don't have Zion, so hard to say what they are, but they're pretty shit without him.
Yeah.
That's clear. And then the Spurs are pretty trash too. So yeah, there's definitely at the bottom of the West is really ugly.
All right, motherfuckers. We'll catch y'all later. Stay tuned. Yep. Go back, watch our previous upload. Follow us on TikTok at Ginger and Soul Podcast. Is that our handle? Hold on. Our handle is...
share, subscribe. Make sure you comment and review.
Our handle is... Follow us on TikTok at Ginger and Soul. Perfect handle. Great fucking handle. Ooh, and your video's actually kind of